What up, what up, what up? Welcome, Shawn and Maya in the morning on this House Music Monday edition, baby. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your boy, the Superback Shawn Sierra, man. We have a phenomenal show for you. Man, if you're watching this on Facebook Live, well, guess what? I guess you found us on Facebook now. You can also tweet the show. You can tweet us at SM_mornings or at SportsZone Shy. That's CHI, at SportsZone Shy. Now, just me personally online. Want to know what I did? Let me tell you what I did. Want to know what I did? Here's what I did. I made it nice and easy for you folks. Nice and easy. One handle for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, the Snapper. All one handle at the Shawn Sierra. If you want to follow my lovely co-host, Maya Kai, you can follow her on Facebook and Twitter at the Sports Chica. If you want to follow her on Instagram, because you do it just for the gram, you can follow her at Maya_. She decided to flip it up. Maya_Akai. Listen, I would be remiss if I did not introduce and bring to the forefront my man. Oh, I like the logo up in the right-hand corner. I like it. He is the Wiz himself, my Puerto Rican Swiss Army knife, Ivan Vargas. Ivan, what's up, Papa? How are you?
Good morning, Shawn. How are you?
Good. I'm good. How was your weekend?
Oh, smooth. I mean, I kind of was like, I don't know. I had like an upset stomach. I think I ate something. I think it's dairy. I think I'm done with dairy.
You're done with dairy, huh?
I think dairy's done with me. Let me rephrase that. Dairy's done with me. So yeah, it's been nice. I mean, the weather was cool. It was a little hot, but yeah, I've just been kind of dealing with a little bug, I guess. Not the corona bug, but
no, yeah, you don't want that corona bug.
No, I don't want that corona bug.
No. Oh, good. I'm glad you had a good chill weekend. I got a little crazy this weekend. Oh man, it was nutso. One of my friends. I have a couple of different groups of friends. Okay, mm-hmm. I have a lot of different circles of friends, and in one circle of friends, we have maybe 6, 8 of us who have July birthdays. So we have a lot of birthdays in July. So last year we kind of threw a party for all of us at a club, but this year was one of the girls' 40th birthday. She wanted to do her own special thing, so we went to her house.
You gotta be careful dropping out. Don't drop the name when you drop the age at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
One slip up and that's it.
So we ended up doing that, and that got out of control.
Yeah. Is that water that you're drinking now?
Yes,
to rehydrate?
Plenty of water all day yesterday, all day today. I'll be doing it today even though I went to CrossFit. Man, let me tell you, that was, yeah. I didn't get home till 5. Yeah.
Yep,
it was a rough one. It was a rough one. But the weather was hot, but the weather was nice. It's gonna be nicer today, man. It's gonna be in the low 80s, which is what I'm excited about. That's going to be pretty cool. So good stuff. Not too crazy at all. Well, listen, guys, we got a great show for you, but I need you to get interactive with us today. So do us a favor. If you're watching this on Facebook Live, then what I need you to do is just leave a question or comment right there on the post on this page. And you know what? As long as it's not stupid, Ivan will post it on this screen. Now, if you're listening to us on the app, and we highly recommend you download the app, folks. You got to download the app. It's iTunes, Google Play, wherever you get your apps from, you can download it from there. Check us out. You can take us on the go. If you're listening to us on the app, guess what? You can text us from the app, and it'll come up on our screen. So we are an app-centric platform, and we want you to download the app. We want you to take us with you everywhere you go. Listen, when I told you we got a great show for you, I was not bull jiving. At 9:30, Frank Arriaga from the WBM network, down in Texas. We got a lot to talk about with Frank. The Washington Redskins has been official. They just released an official statement. We're going to talk about the name change from the Washington Redskins to the Washington we don't know yet. We're going to talk with Frank about that. We're also going to talk about the baseball season. Is the baseball season going to start? What does Frank think about the another outbreak happening? And what could happen if that occurs? Will they shut down the whole season? How jacked up is 2020 going to be? So that's Frank Ariaga at 9:30. Then at 10 o'clock, our good friend of the program, Lauren Cox from the Lockdown Bears Network, the podcast, Lockdown Bears podcast. He's calling in. I'm excited to talk to him. Excited to talk to him. So we have a lot going. I'm looking at Twitter a little this weekend. So my guy over at Windy City Gridiron, Robert Schmitz, this guy is awesome. He puts together so many different pieces of tape, and there was a lot of our different RPOs, different plays, clips he put together of RPOs where Mitch just jacked up. Mitch just flat out missed it, blew it. And so we're going to talk to Lauren about, if what's going to happen or how much leash is he going to have. We're talking Mitch with these RPOs, because watching what happened on Twitter, man, if Mitch pulls the ball a couple of times, now he can get out there and run, or now he's got time to throw and he doesn't have to worry about a pass rush because the pass rush is going after the running back who he was handing, or who the RPO was with. Right. So we got a lot to talk about with Lauren Cox. He's coming up at 10:30. And then to close out the show, we're going to talk a little Major League Baseball. Sox Cubs. We got bat flips on the south side. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Oh man, Tim Anderson. We have a lot to talk about. So we're going to finish up the show at 10:30. We're going to talk a little MLB action, north side, south side baseball. Well, guys, you know how we do it. The first segment of every show is called Top of the Morning 2, and these are the hot topics of the night before, just some sports in general. And boy, oh boy, we have some doozies. Our Top of the Morning segment is powered by the Chicago Crusader newspaper. They are partners with us. And my man, there he is. I love it. I love it, dude. Woo, Charlie. Our man Joseph Phillips in the house. And we're going to talk a few things top of the morning. But our first top of the morning topic, it can't be ignored. There's no bigger story. The Washington Redskins have officially retired the Redskin logo, the name and the logo. Joseph, your thoughts, Papa, your thoughts.
Wow. This reminds me a little bit of the Illinois Fighting Illini, when they had the logo issue. So it's kind of like a follow-up to that. And then we're living in a cancel culture, so I don't think this would be the last team following suit far as when it comes to derogatory, pretty much mascots that represent things from our past.
It was long overdue. Daniel Snyder was adamant a few years ago, like, we're never changing the name. Till you got hit in the pocketbooks. When they hit you in the pocketbook, all of a sudden it's time to reevaluate certain situations, and he did. When FedEx asked who was the company who owns the naming rights to the stadium, when they asked to change it, when Nike took it and Amazon took it off of their websites, they're like, yeah, now I'm starting to lose some paper, now I'm starting to lose some green, and now we have to reevaluate. So it's good. It's a good thing. Now there have been a ton of names that have been tossed out. Red Wolves, the Red Tails, which would honor the Tuskegee Airmen from World War II. No name has been given yet to replace it. But what names have you heard, Joseph? And what name do you have a favorite to replace the name Washington Redskins?
Well, I know so far, because I know this is breaking news, I haven't heard the exact replacements as far as names, but I do have some suggestions,
What you got?
Just with the history of everything, I know that when it comes to DC and it's Black culture, maybe you can go and tap Howard University, and just, call them the Washington Bisons, something like that, representing, and I don't know if that, that correlation there, but some type of partnership with the HBCU, one of the prominent HBCUs in the area and also in the country. So actually the Ivy Leagues of Black colleges. So something of that nature. Also, when it comes to our military, we can also look into that aspect. with the the Air Force, the Army, Navy, and and then you got to go there with the Marines. So you never know. You can come up with something from that perspective, and then in addition to that, you could take your cue from some of the college sports teams also, and look from that, like something from that perspective. So there's a combination of things you can look into, but when it comes down to it, like I said, I think they can probably take their their cue for some of the HBCUs, like the top HBCU in the country, probably Howard University, and I know they're the Biden. So just something to throw out there. It's pretty much an animal, but it's staying away from the derogatory names.
Yeah, it's there's tons, and I like the Washington the Red Tails. I think that would be cool. Someone had put Red Wolves, which I thought is cool. You can keep the same color scheme, so you really wouldn't have such a massive overhaul. The color scheme, if it stays the same, that's cool. There've been quite a few different suggestions that have been thrown around on the internet. So we're just going to wait and see. They decide. They haven't come up with a name yet. They are going to. The statement reads as follows: "This is on July 3rd. We announced the commencement of a thorough review of the team's name. The review has begun in earnest. As part of this process, we want to keep our sponsors, cha-ching, 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 fans and community apprised of our thinking as we go forward. Today, we are announcing we will be retiring the Redskin name and logo upon completion of this review. Dan Snyder and Coach Rivera are working closely to develop a new name and design approach that will enhance the standing of our proud tradition-rich franchise and inspire our sponsors, keep them paying us money. Inspire our sponsors, fans, and community for the next 100 years." That's the official statement. So as long as they keep putting money in my pocket, we're going to change it, is what he said.
Smart. Hey, that's a smart business decision, and
yes,
that's
it is.
down
yes,
to.
It is.
It's going to hit your pockets economically, and that goes for other organizations too that's trying to operate in covert racism. Some people like things to stay the same, but actually there's just change coming, and change, I guess I would have to say change for the better. So hopefully we can build on that.
Joseph, how do you feel about Warriors? Because I've been hearing Warriors being passed around for the new nickname change, and it's like you keep like the general type of like outline of the old team mascot, which was the Redskins, but you keep the native type of theme. You know what I'm saying? You keep that native I guess logo, mascot, whatever you're going to come up with. You're not going to just completely abolish it and become like either the red, not that it's bad, the red tails or another animal, which I actually like the bison. If they did the bison, I wouldn't have a problem at all with the bison. Right. That'd be a cool name.
Just stick to the animals, right?
Right. But as far as like the Warriors, do you see that they could stick with something like that? Stick with the theme, stick with the consistency.
So for example, when it comes to culture and ethnicity, if it brings pride to those individuals, say for example the Native Americans, most of them they're known as warriors. So if they take pride in that, as far as just their tribes and everything like that, and if it doesn't bother them and they give you the okay, then you just stick with it. And then if it has, some type of partnership or connection, like when you're using these tribes' names, there should be some type of donation, and I wouldn't say reparation, but some type of donations given to those who use those particular names, if they are going to, you see what I mean, use it as or anything like that. That's just being fair. And then you allow that tribe or that ethnicity decide if it's fair or not, versus pretty much making the call on that. That's why I said, it's better safe than sorry just to stick with the animals, because once you start throwing out, adjectives to describe people, and I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with being a warrior, because I actually, most football guys, we like the Ultimate Warrior or Hogan, brother, the whole the warrior theme, so most people can relate to that. So if they say it's okay, then pretty much you can go with that.
But we are living in 2020, so some of the animals might get offended as well. So we might have to talk to them too.
PETA might be on your ass in a minute.
Here come the bison,
Yeah, right.
Storming through the city. Hey, listen. Next time with the morning topic, Michael Kopech has decided to opt out of the 2020 restart for the White Sox. Michael Kopech, and it was due to personal reasons. He hasn't been in camp. Or in summer camp, I think they call it. He hasn't been there. He didn't show up. He had some personal issues. Rick Hahn did say he was healthy. He wouldn't answer about COVID questions, but because obviously HIPAA laws won't allow it. But he did say he was healthy, but he did have some personal issues that he's attending. And then he came out shortly thereafter and said he opted out of the 2020 start. Man, how big of an impact is that going to be for the White Sox?
Well, he's one of their top 5 pitchers, and I believe that he actually was improving. Is that correct? Like he was making his necessary adjustments, and he was ready to go. So I hope this doesn't set him back as far as just him being able to display his stuff, because he got some nasty stuff.
Yeah,
he's throwing over 100+ miles per hour. And then now he's added control and knowing how to hit his spots, in addition to having an all-star catcher. And the beautiful things that a catcher can do for you, especially the catcher's like the quarterback of the team, with Grandal in the backstop. So
and McCann as well. Remember, he did. He credited all his success last year to McCann.
Exactly. So you got pretty much two former all-star and an all-star catcher. Can't beat it, so now is not the time, so if you're trying to win a World Series this year, you got to put all fears aside. And I know I can't speak for him, but hopefully, he decides to say, hey, you know what? We got a chance of a lifetime, even if it's a 60-game season. And then you guys have a chance to redeem yourself on the 95 season. This can make up for that shortened season that you guys never had a chance to win it all.
Yeah, 94. It's supposed to be us and the Expos. That was the anticipated World Series matchup, the White Sox and the Expos, and yeah, that got canceled. So that really sucks. So yeah, you know what? I would, first of all, if it is personal, there have been a lot of things going around on the internet. Some things that I've heard from people who are over at the stadium, but I don't want to. They've been unconfirmed, so I don't want to mention them. But he's. I would love for him to be there, but if it's a situation where, if you look at what happened to the pitcher for the Nationals, who had the Tommy John,
Steven Strasburg.
There you go, Steven Strasburg. And remember, they held him to an innings restriction, and people were livid because they got into the playoffs at one particular point, and he couldn't pitch because he had reached his innings limit. Fans were livid, but guess what happened? It came back. He was a key part in their World Series victory, and so got the ring. And so, you know what? If this is it, if we have to sacrifice this year, this 60 games, for him to come back, because remember, he is coming off of Tommy John surgery. We have to sacrifice him pitching in these 60 games, which I don't want to, but if we have to, I'll be more than happy, because this guy's going to be here for a long, long time, and he's going to be a key component moving forward. So if it is, whatever the personal issue is, I hope he gets better. I hope it's not too serious. Hope it's something that doesn't, worsen. And I just wish him the best, because I want to see him on the mound, but I don't want to see him on the mound dealing with, a lot of things on the home front. Because when you're dealing with stuff on the home front, you might as well just stay home, because if you can't focus and lock in, it's going to be a rough one for you. The next top of the morning topic, and this is from last week. We didn't get to talk to a couple of times. The former Duke basketball star Zion Williamson's stepdad was solicited and accepted a $400,000 payment from a Canadian marketing agency back in 2018. Your thoughts? First of all, why was it only $400,000? I'm sorry, because you're Zion Williamson. That's for starters. Okay.
It was Canadian money. No, it was all them coins. No,
Oh man.
But you know what? This goes on a lot. You know, you get people and they wanted him to sign with that marketing firm. So when he became a pro, he couldn't. They have him locked in, and then all of a sudden he didn't want to go with that marketing firm. It was a crazy mess. Are you surprised that this is still happening, Joe, or just like, no, this is the way it works?
Ever since I watched the movie Blue Chips back in the day, with Butch McRae, and big man Shaq, it hasn't changed, man. It hasn't changed. It's the same old story, man. And guys Zion was my buddy, man. I've been covering him. I guess I've been following him since high school. And, I was just hoping and praying, like, he doesn't need that on his reputation. He's a smart guy. And I think he was kind of extorted too, because, the deal that he made was kind of like a shiesty deal. And you always got somebody in the camp that's going to blow the whistle when they're not getting paid fairly. And now you're starting to see it come out. And now Zion name will forever be attached to Canadian coins, So it is what it is, So what can you say,
I'm. It's tough. It's really tough. I don't know if his stepdad did it, so Zion wouldn't be attached to it or what. I don't know his thinking, but what bugs me is when parents look at their children's life insurance policies. Like, that really bothers me. That really bugs me. Because people made bad mistakes. People made bad choices. Now you live vicariously through your children, and you see that when your children have talent, you're like, all right, we're going to the league, and you want to make your child. What bothers me the most is, like, you don't want your child to make it to the professional level because you want him to succeed. You want it to be an extension of you and your failed dreams. And to me, I think that's the biggest issue. And then when there's millions of dollars involved, and everybody say, well, this is my son or my stepson or my grandson. Well, how can I profit off it? I think that's shadier than shady.
Right. It's called the ROI, the return on investment. So, a lot of times, some people look at like you say, they look at their children as some capital, like, hey, you don't really know his worth. So at the end of the day, I don't think $400K. I'm not speaking for myself. I'm just saying this is how his dad probably was thinking. My son is worth more than $400K, by the way. But while you're saying that, they're bugging you. Like they got you on a wiretap. Like, okay, thank you, you're done. Okay, so whenever we need to, use this leverage against you, which is how they do it in the streets too. Same way. Yeah. They let you build up a little record. And then when they're ready to come for you, then they hit you with the RICO Act. Boom.
Is it really going to, truth be told, is it really going to bother or affect Zion? I mean, because usually what will happen is the colleges get affected, right, for the kid. It really isn't going to come back, and it's not going to blow back on him. Yeah, people are going to say, oh, well, you took $400,000. And if I were Zion, I'd be like, listen, fool, if you had the opportunity that I had, you might take that $400,000 too.
What are they going to? What would they take from Zion though? Like, what are they going to take from him? What does he have? He doesn't have a Heisman like Reggie Bush. He doesn't have some heavy hardware where or he doesn't hold he doesn't still hold like a position at Duke or something like that.
What'll happen is they'll vacate the games.
Yep.
Yeah.
So all those losses that he played because he would have been ineligible go on Coach K's record.
And don't forget about Coach K. I think this is his first time really like getting exposed like that, because actually
getting caught.
He's been pretty quiet, because he'd be like, he's like the stand-up citizen, the perfect guy. It's almost like when it comes to the Catholic League, my whole thing is they always have those stand-up guys that represent, but if they get busted, it can hurt the whole program, So it's kind of like, better, especially as many times I've seen him speak out against people that do it, like Calipari, who he loves to do it. He's like the mom, he doesn't care.
He's connected.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I'm just trying to like indirect it. But Coach K, Chicago guy,
Yeah, West Lighton.
That's sad, Shawn, can I ask this question for you?
Yeah.
Just to throw this out so you guys can know. I did the story on you guys already. So
nice.
Airing this week, I was able to pull up some background information, etc. In addition to that, I did a piece on Anthony Davis. I'm sticking to the name on the jersey. And then last but not least, I did a piece on the Yu Darvish possibly making a decision to probably hold back on playing due to COVID-19. So I'm just letting you know those 3 stories will be out this week.
Oh, great stuff. So, guys, make sure you check out the Chicago Crusader. Joseph Phillips has all these stories. It's going to be I gotta check these out and read them because I'm wondering what you're going to do as well. And then there's the whole issue about the NBA bubble and Anthony Davis and the name. LeBron's not he's using his own name. He's not using anything. So the great stuff, man. I'm looking forward to it. So let everybody know exactly where they can find you.
All right. You guys can visit us at ChicagoCrusader.com. Also, that's our Twitter handle also at Chicago Crew. So please feel free to tune in. And then in addition to that, SC Media Network Facebook page.
Great stuff. Joe, hey, we got to run, but we'll see you on Wednesday. And I appreciate your time, buddy. Thank you.
All right. God bless you. Peace.
All right. Deuces.
Peace.
Guys, that was Joseph Phillips from the Chicago Crusader here on Top of the Morning. And just going through some of the hot topics, that we have and talking about the stories he's written for this week. So that's good stuff. I'm excited to read those. I want to hear about Anthony Davis, Chicago born and bred, and why he's not using he's only using his name and not a slogan as many other basketball players are. Listen, we got to take a quick break, and on the other side of the break, we have Frank Arriaga calling in. We're going to talk a little bit about some more about the Washington logo.
Question marks?
Washington Football Organization logo and name retirement party. So don't go anywhere, folks. Keep it locked right here. Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago.
Quicken Loans presents the Sports Flash, driven by Jeep on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone. At Kentucky Speedway on Sunday, rookie Colt Custer took the checkered flag, becoming the first rookie regular to win a Cup Series race in nearly 4 years.
Overall, it's a combination of everything that you've learned throughout your career of trying to time the restarts right, trying to get momentum on people and get to their outside, and just once you're up front, you got to take advantage of it, and I think we did that today. It's just unbelievable. I just came into this race, hoping to get a solid finish and get us pointed in the right direction going towards the playoffs, and to come out of it winning is just unimaginable.
A name change is imminent for Washington's NFL team. Team owner Dan Snyder is set to retire the team's current nickname. A new name could be unveiled as early as today. This coming amidst public and corporate pressure. The team's top sponsor, FedEx, among those who pressured the team to change the name. Blue Emu promises no chill, no burn, no odor, just what you need to soothe tired muscles and joints. The Sports Flash is driven by Jeep. Chuck Sanders, 1330, 95.9 The Zone.
Hi, this is Jay Farner, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. We can help guide you to those right decisions now, when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so when you call 8338-ROCKET or visit us at rocketmortgage.com to start your refinance, you'll be well on your way to saving money every month. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.375%, APR 3.59%. Right now could be a great time for you to take some positive financial steps forward with a cash-out refinance from Rocket Mortgage, which could give you the boost that you're looking for. In addition, we may be able to help you refinance with little or no out-of-pocket costs. At Rocket Mortgage, we're committed to every client, every time, no exceptions, no excuses, giving you the best mortgage experience. Call us today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Rates subject to change. Pay 1.875% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago. Welcome back to House Music Monday, baby. You know how we do. We got some copyright issues, which is why we're not playing songs. We're working those out. So trust me, they'll be back. They'll be back.
I'm pissed about it because we had a couple times where we even Maya the other day, she mentioned a song and I was like, oh, I want to play it right now, but we can't. We can't.
Yeah. So there's still issues we're dealing with. It's a work in progress, but we'll get it back very, very soon. Our first guest today is out of Texas. He's starting to call him a good friend. We've talked quite a bit, and we talked last night. And I said, hey, you know what? So why don't you come on and we'll talk about this Washington Redskin logo and name retirement party. And he's like, dude, I'm in. So you can find him on Twitter at WBM Network. And guys, let's welcome back to Shawn and Maya, Frank Arriaga. Frank, what's up, buddy? How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Oh, I see you got your setup back there. You're all good. A green screen. I like it.
Yeah. Hey, I got you. You know, it's just. Hey, things are more remote now. What can you say?
So, hey, you see, I got to do it from the room over here. So you see. So I feel you.
It's good to be on your program.
Oh man, good to have you. So listen, we talked about this last night, man, and I wanted to get this on the air because we had some good discussions, good conversation last night. So the Washington Redskins made it official. They already released a statement this morning saying that they have decided to retire the logo and the name Redskins for their football organization. They have not named a replacement or come up with a new name or logo yet. That's in the works. But your thoughts, because now many people, especially a lot of people in the DMV area, the hashtag HTTR, Hail to the Redskins, is no longer going to be. Well, it depends on what the nickname is. If they keep the word red in there somehow, some way, maybe they can keep that hashtag. But your thoughts on a new era for the Washington football organization?
Well, it's just very weird. I mean, I didn't think you were ever going to see this actually happen. Now, certainly it does make a lot of sense because it is offensive to many. And I was staying up late last night having a unofficial Redskins farewell party, watching some classic games, and particularly in the late 80s and early 90s when the Redskins were competing for Super Bowl championships, when they were playing with the likes of the Eagles and the Giants. The NFC Eastern Division back then was such a heavyweight, and now that they're going to be changing their names when the Cowboys or the Giants or the Eagles play up against Washington, whatever the new nickname is going to be, it's going to be extremely difficult and hard at first for fans and media professionals to say this versus the Washington. Well, we don't know what it's going to be, but it's just going to not have a ring to it, certainly at the beginning.
Yeah, it definitely is going to be different, because we've grown up with it just being the Redskins, Cowboys and skin, boys and skins, and you talked about the rivalries in the NFC East throughout the years. And, I still think those rivalries will be there. It's just going to be a little different with a different name. It's going to throw us off for a bit. I think after a few years, it'll be fine. But initially, it is going to be very, very, very odd.
Yeah, I think it will. And certainly, however you look at it and you want to analyze it, it had to be changed. I mean, as you read the story, major sponsors like FedEx Express and Pepsi and others have pulled out their sponsorships from the team, and certainly Amazon made the announcement along with various other merchandise apparel that they were going to pull the Washington Redskins name away from their merchandise line. So that is, I don't have to explain, just an exorbitant amount of money that Mr. Daniel Snyder, the owner of the Redskins, is going to lose, and I think he had to look at up in the mirror and finally cave in. As unpopular to him and to many diehard Redskin fans there are out there, and there are many of them, but it was a time that it had to be changed just because of the pressure and everything that's going on.
Guys, we're joined by Frank Arriaga from the WBM Network. He's calling us, or he's joining us from Texas, one of the COVID hotspots in the country. Not good, but it's also hot as hell down there. What was the temperature yesterday down there, buddy?
The temperature up down here was about 101. Heat index was close to 108. Yeah.
But it's a dry heat, so I hear.
Comes with the territory. Well, yesterday was a dry heat. The last several days was humidity. Not exactly ideal to be running outside.
No. So where are you, by Dallas or Houston or San Antonio or El Paso?
Yes, I'm in the Dallas area to be exact.
Oh, okay. So I didn't realize it gets like humid down there. Like Houston, I know it gets humid because you're on the Gulf, but I didn't know it gets humid down in Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, we get a little mixture of humidity and dry air. I prefer dry air, obviously, but we get both.
Oh, nice. So moving forward, like, Daniel, remember we talked about Daniel Snyder saying he was never going to change it, and in the current climate of the country, I think it was very easy for sponsors, because why didn't FedEx say anything beforehand? Okay, why didn't FedEx? Some of the other sponsors didn't have a problem with this beforehand. But I think, talk to me about how much the climate of the country now had an effect on it, because FedEx knew what they were getting into. FedEx didn't realize, like, oh, this is the name of the team. Oh, we didn't know that. No, they knew exactly what they were getting into, and I think they just they wanted to make a be politically correct, I guess, because we didn't hear this issue when they first took over the naming rights of that stadium.
Well, here's my thing. If it's such a big issue, the name, the Redskins, why wasn't this made an issue 30 or 40 years ago when Washington was at one of the premier teams in the NFL? That's what I want to know. I mean, this Redskins name has been around for more than 50 years, and in their heyday, as far back as when George Allen was the coach in the 70s, why did nobody make a big issue then?
Well, I think the climate is different now in the country. People are a lot more sensitive, and when you grow up in a certain environment and you're taught a certain thing, you don't realize that it could be offensive, and until someone else has to tell you it's offensive. So just a case in point, when growing up here in Chicago, there's a place all my Chicagoans, you'll know what I'm talking about. There's a place called Maxwell Street. So going down there in the late 70s, 80s, and 90s, okay, it was a place for people. So there were actual stores there, but the people also sold things on the sidewalk. And you had the ability to talk and basically bargain your way down. Well, it was called Jewtown, was a nickname of that particular area. It was called Maxwell Street, but the Chicagoans knew it as Jewtown. And I didn't realize how offensive that was, because we're talking about when you Jew somebody down, it's you negotiate a lower price, okay? Because the stereotype is that Jews are very tight with their money. Okay, I didn't realize that was it was offensive, because that's all I knew growing up. My family, we'd go down. We'd say that we'd go down there. They'd say we're going here.
Oh, Frank, we might have lost Shawn here for a second, but with to Shawn's point, Jewtown was a place that you barter. So you had that stereotype that stick with a certain area in the city, and I understand that these stereotypes, and I agree with you. Like, it should have been done 30 years ago. It should have been done when they were in the mid 90s, when they were at their, or early 90s, when they're at their peak, pretty much. But as far as right now, where do you think they go with the logo and the nickname now? Where do they stick with the trend and they go with like a Warriors? Do they completely revamp the name and scheme? Where do you think that they're going to go now?
Well, certainly they got to pick a name that's going to be complimentary, something that's going to be effective, something that's going to have a nice ring and tell. At the same token, try to maintain the color scheme and just the flow of the Washington history behind that franchise. Now, as I was talking to several people in the sports industry, and particularly in the Washington area, what people don't realize is that this is the second time in Washington sports history that they've had to change their name. If you recall, in the NBA, the current Washington Wizards, they were formerly the Washington Bullets, and they had to change their names because at that particular time in the mid to late 90s, Washington, D.C. had become a very, very violent city. As a matter of fact, it overtook New York City as the most gun violent city in the United States at that particular time, and certainly that was very, very offensive and certainly very, very dangerous. In this case, here we are, we moved nearly 25 years later, albeit a little bit slightly different circumstances. Nevertheless, the matter of the fact is that, and we're not trying to put down the Washington sports scene by any means, but when you've had two of the major four professional sports teams in your city having to change their nicknames, that's got to mean that something obviously is either terribly wrong, or it's just that you're in a city in Washington, because of our lawmakers, because we've got a lot of heightened security, and because we've got a lot of, well, let's face it, political class right now in that particular town. You've got to be very, very creative and very, very selective in terms of how you go your names, because in those particular, especially in this particular time that we're living in, it certainly can be very, very offensive.
Guys, we're joined by Frank Arriaga from the WBM Network, talking a lot of things. Right, first, we're talking about the Washington Redskins retirement of the logo and the name right here on Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago. So what I was saying, like, when they're in that, growing up, like I said, here in Chicago, they had that area down there that I didn't realize was offensive until I actually went to college. Okay, and someone said, "Why would you call it that?" I'm like, "What do you mean? Why would we call it that? Like, that's what it's called." It wasn't, not that it was, obviously it wasn't endorsed by the city, but that's what we knew it as. So, I can see how, I can see how a lot of people would still have or be confused about it. But in this day and age, it's a lot easier to say, okay, certain things are a little offensive, and they need to change. Some people are going to have an issue with it. Some people don't. And, just look at the situation with the Confederate flag. People talk about, what it means to them, and but they don't talk about, they refuse to see what it stands for Black people in America. I mean, to them, that's literally the same thing as a Nazi flag to Jews, the murders and rape. So, and it's a new time, it's a new era, and things need to change, and things that have been kind of force fed to us with that are very insensitive toward groups of people, they need to go.
I would agree with that. And, at this time, sports is certainly, or typically was the metaphor in terms of getting away from all sorts of problems we have. But now that sports has been shut down as a result of the COVID-19, it allows people to really, really look into sports and franchises. And it's sad to see that it is what it is during these unprecedented times. But that's just the way it is right now.
Yeah, it is. And again, I'm glad that certain things are changing. Being an old fart, sometimes change is difficult for people like me, but it's easy. This one's a no-brainer. It's easy. And I welcome it. Let's switch topics a little, Frank. Let's talk about the baseball season that's looming right now. Teams are in their home stadiums practicing. I think they're called summer camp now. Your thoughts on how the season's going to, how it's going to play out? Do you think there'll be another outbreak of COVID through the players? If there are, Will they cancel the season? Will there be no World Series champion this year? How do you think this baseball season is going to play out for 2020?
Well, as much as I love baseball, and I am a diehard sports baseball fan, and I have to say that to everyone that's watching and listening. But this is, with that said, it's hard for me to say, but I think they need to cancel the season. I don't think it's worth the risk of not only fans but players. Now, I mean, look, we had Aroldis Chapman test positive the other day. We've had big players like Buster Posey and David Price have said they're not going to play. And one can assume that there are other players right now that haven't publicly come out and stated that I've tested positive or I'm not well fit to play. And I realize we want sports back, but you've got to be smart about it at the same token. And as much as I appreciate the game of baseball and I love it, and I'm with many White Sox fans, I was looking forward to seeing, what they did in the offseason and how would that transcend into the field, or what the Cubs were going to do, with a new manager. And was this going to be the last true year they're going to really seriously contend, as well as all the other storylines that were going on in baseball. And for that not to happen, or up to this point, had everything gone as planned, we would have been talking and getting ready for the All-Star game, which would have been played tomorrow night. As it is, the season's not going to start for about another 10 days or so from this point. So I think at this point, I think it's very, very difficult. And with a 60-game schedule, I just think that last minute, I'm saying it now, don't be surprised if they ultimately cave in and finally cancel the season, because at some point later this year, you're going to see a second outbreak, and you're going to see many key players go down. And I'm not talking about nagging injuries from sliding a blade or diving for a baseball. I'm talking about something that's unimaginable, as they say, the silent killer.
Guys, we're joined for a few more moments by Frank Arriaga from the WBM Network, right here on Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago. And that's the thing that I'm worried about, Frank. I really am. I'm worried about one of their stars, just not even the stars, just one of their players coming down, contracting it, and dying, because that will change the narrative on everything. You talk about coming to a screeching halt. It will come to a screeching halt, and I don't want it to get to that point. And I understand that Major League Baseball is a business. I understand they have sponsors who paid millions of dollars to have their brand exhibited during TV shows and commercials and all these other things. And I get it, but I don't think you're going to have an issue with the brand, with whatever sponsor it is that you have. If you say, hey, we're canceling the season because of this, because if one person dies, one baseball player dies, and it doesn't matter who it is, and God forbid it's like a huge name, because then it'll carry more gravitas, but it doesn't matter. If one person dies, then that's one too many. One more, there's one more too many when this could be avoided. And I hope that I agree with you. And you talked about, I'm a White Sox fan. You see I'm rocking my hat right now, but man, and I want to see them. I want to see them. This is the year that they're going to take off. But man, if it puts people's lives in danger, then you got to hold off, man. You really got to hold off. And I if they cancel the season, I'll be more than okay with it, as long as we get this pandemic under control, because I want to see my White Sox play well. I want to see them. They're in a window right now that they're just entering for about 4 to 6 years, and I want to see what they can do. But you know what? If somebody dies, baseball has a lot of questions to answer, and I hope it doesn't come to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly it doesn't matter what fan base, who you root for, what league you root for. I think this is something that we can all agree that everyone's safety and protection should be 100%. And not only it's in Major League Baseball, but I mean, the NBA and NHL are still wanting to get their seasons going as well. And then, of course, is training camp? How is training camp going to be run? It was announced the other day that the Big Ten was only going to play conference games. Same thing with the Pac-12. So, I mean, this is uncharted territory, and now we're really going to be tested, at least from a fan standpoint and from an owner's standpoint, as well as college presidents, because typically around this year, this was the start of the slow transition in a typical sports year as we get ready for the football season. And, college football and the NFL, it's a no-brainer. They bring in so much money. But now this is going to be serious, considering the fact that we have not had, your typical Kentucky Derby, Wimbledon, the Olympics were canceled. I mean, everything is just in flux. And now we're really going to see, okay, what's going to happen? The most popular sport in America, is it going to be shut down?
Yeah, we are going to see that, and I hope not. But again, if it does affect football, because they've already made adjustments where they've canceled, they've eliminated 2 of the preseason games. So now there's only 2 preseason games. Man, if it hits, well then here, before I let you go, then give me your thoughts, because some teams, the Ivy Leagues started the trend. They remember they're ahead of, they're all the smart kids, so they see it coming and they understand what's happening. And they remember when they bowed out of the tournament, the NCAA tournament, and they were like, "Oh, you're those smart little nerds." And all of a sudden, you saw what happened. They decided to switch and have their football season in the spring. Your thoughts on that? Is that a possibility? Is that a possibility for the Power 5, or is it just for a lower, like the subdivision FCS, or 1AA are used to be? Is it just more feasible for them? Or is that a real possibility for the Power 5?
Well, at this point, anything has got to be taken in consideration. But I just think it would be extremely difficult. And I say it for this reason. What about those athletes that play multiple sports? Men's basketball is a major college money maker. I mean, and then let's not, depending on what part of the country you're in, what university you go to, I mean, where you're at up north, I mean, college hockey is big, or college baseball. I mean, how are you going to be able to do that? It would just create a logistical nightmare for those sports as well. So it'd be very, very difficult to pull off. And, it's just, I don't see it being very productive for the athletes and fans and media personnel that would have to find creative ways to get around that. And it was just, that's the great unknown. I will say this as well, lastly, that if fans truly want to get, in the game, if I'm the NFL at this point, I would say, okay, we should only let season ticket holders go in, spread it out in a 75, 80,000 seat stadium, whatever the design of the layout of your stadium is, and just have every other row, and then in those rows, every other seat. Because let's face it, in spite of everything, you're still going to have your diehards, and they're still going to be one of many that still want to get into a ballpark or a football field to root on their beloved team.
Guys, he's Frank Arriaga from the WBM Network. Hey, buddy, thank you for your time this morning. Do me a favor, let everyone know where they can find you and your work online.
WBMnetwork.com every Sunday night, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, the Ultimate Sports Show. I can be reached at Frank Arriaga at WBM Network. That's my Twitter, or our Facebook page, WBM Network at WBM Radio.
Great stuff, Papa. We'll talk to you soon, man. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, now. Guys, that's Frank Arriaga from the WBM Network. And yeah, man, what's going to happen? Like, I'm really concerned with baseball players, because, man, as soon as somebody dies,
I'm in
over.
total agreement with you. I'm in total agreement. Like I've said it. I've said it to other people. You said it here. Like we've talked about it. It's all you're a Mike Trout, you're a Steven Strasburg. You're a big name away from being gone. You're a LeBron James. You're an AD. You're one player away from this really, really going downhill because so far it's been – I mean, it's been known players, but it hasn't been a superstar. It hasn't been somebody that's the face of a franchise or that's close to it, a top 10 player, a top 5 player. I mean, until then, and we honestly, we don't know if they're withholding it or not. We don't know if teams are playing this straight. You know what I mean? We can't. Well, first of all, they can't even in Major League Baseball. They can't even get they can't even get the testers to the stadium, and they can't even get the results. On time. So it's like, how do you go about with blinding confidence? You know what I'm saying? That this is going to happen. I want it to happen. I hope it happens. I'm very, very, very skeptical now.
I think your boy Chris Bryant talked about it. He talked about it, but I think he's got a great point. Is that he doesn't feel safe. Remember, he's got a newborn. Mm-hmm. He's got a young baby at the crib. So, are you comfortable now bringing that back to your wife and kid? You know what I mean? It's not. They said the issue was the 4th of July weekend last weekend, which is why it took them so long.
Right.
You didn't know the 4th of July weekend was coming up?
You had months on end to prepare for this. You had months on end. You knew in June that the next month is July.
And the 4th day of July is a holiday.
We do something here. We make a lot of noise and hoopla and stuff. Yeah. But see, that's the problem. That's a huge problem. And we're talking about the start of this. So at the start of this, you can't get anything. You can't handle this. Like, or is this growing pains? Why are there growing pains when you had months to prepare?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm anxious to see how this plays out, and I'm anxious to see what Frank mentioned is the most popular sport in this country going to be affected. It already has been, but how much more is it going to be affected? We're going to talk to our guy Lauren Cox. He's coming up next right here, so don't go anywhere, folks. Keep it locked right here. Bears Talk with Lauren Cox from the Lockdown Bears podcast right here, Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago.
Quicken Loans presents the Sports Flash, driven by Jeep on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone. At Kentucky Speedway on Sunday, rookie Cole Custer took the checkered flag, becoming the first rookie regular to win a Cup Series race in nearly 4 years.
Overall, I mean, it's a combination of everything that you've learned throughout your career of trying to time the restarts right, trying to get momentum on people and get to their outside, and just once you're up front, you got to take advantage of it, and I think we did that today. It's just unbelievable. I mean, I just came into this race, hoping to get a solid finish and get us pointed in the right direction going towards the playoffs, and to come out of it winning is just unimaginable.
A name change is imminent for Washington's NFL team. Team owner Dan Snyder is set to retire the team's current nickname. A new name could be unveiled as early as today. This coming amidst public and corporate pressure. The team's top sponsor, FedEx, among those who pressured the team to change the name. Blue Emu promises no chill, no burn, no odor, just what you need to soothe tired muscles and joints. The Sports Flash is driven by Jeep. Chuck Sanders, 1330, 95.9 The Zone.
Hi, this is Jay Farner, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. We can help guide you to those right decisions now, when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so when you call 8338-ROCKET or visit us at rocketmortgage.com to start your refinance, you'll be well on your way to saving money every month. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.375%, APR 3.59%. Right now could be a great time for you to take some positive financial steps forward with a cash-out refinance from Rocket Mortgage, which could give you the boost that you're looking for. In addition, we may be able to help you refinance with little or no out-of-pocket costs. At Rocket Mortgage, we're committed to every client, every time, no exceptions, no excuses, giving you the best mortgage experience. Call us today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Rates subject to change. Pay 1.875% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago. Man, we just got off the phone, or actually we were just joined by, not on the phone, just joined by Frank Arriaga from the WBM network, talking the Washington Redskins name and logo retirement, talking about COVID and how it's affecting baseball, how it could affect football. And that leads us into our next guest. He is a good friend of the program. You can find him on Twitter at Cox Sports One. It's like Fox Sports One, but with a C. He is the host of the Lockdown Bears podcast. And as I said, good friend of the program. Welcome, guys. Just welcome back to Shawn and Maya, Lauren Cox. Lauren, what's up, Baba? How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for having me back on, guys. As always, it's always a good time.
Thanks, man. We appreciate your time. So we just got off with a guy. We were talking COVID, about the baseball season, how it's affecting that, with a 60-game schedule, with players opting out. Some big names. Aroldis Chapman just got diagnosed with COVID. Now football season is right around, not even around the corner. It's straight ahead. This is the month we start training camps. And how do you see this affecting football? Because I really don't want to have an abbreviated or a non-football season in 2020. That would be literally a sledgehammer to my chest.
Yeah, you start looking around the rest of the football world in terms of college and high school, and it starts to get a little bit scary in terms of what could be coming on the pipeline for the NFL. I mean, we've heard the Texas high school commissioner, administrator, superintendent say he's not sure high school football is going to happen in Texas. And we've seen the Big Ten say, well, we're just going to go to an all conference only schedule right now. And the NFL keeps holding out and saying, we're still going full speed ahead. We're going to do whatever it takes to get professional football on the field this season. And I imagine we'll get some sort of something, but whether it's an abbreviated schedule or whether teams have to put a pause on the season at some point if they start having outbreaks, I think the only thing we know for sure is that it's not going to be a fully normal 17-week season as we would normally know it. Maybe they still get 16 games in there, but it's certainly not going to look the same. The stadiums aren't going to look the same. The rosters likely aren't going to look the same. We're talking about expanded practice squads and maybe expanded rosters and trimming down earlier heading into training camp. I've got my doubts as to whether a full NFL season is going to happen, but for now we'll take it one day at a time and keep our fingers crossed.
Damn, coming from you, that hurts, man. I know, because you're on the pulse of it, and unfortunately, I had the same thoughts. I thought it early, a couple of months ago, like, okay, it should be fine. But then you got people, who down in Florida going out partying in Miami and the spring break spots, and then Texas and Arizona, and people, even people here in Chicago when they opened up in Wisconsin. Man, how many of us fibs went across? And for those of you who don't know, we call Wisconsinites cheeseheads, and they call us effing Illinois bastards. So that's fibbing. So, sorry, I just threw that out there. What the hell's a fib?
Oh, I know fibs. Trust me.
I know you did, because you started laughing, and I was like, oh wait, he gets it. Other people might not. So yeah, a fib is an effing Illinois bastard, because Wisconsinite cheeseheads don't really like it. But how many fibs went across the border? I mean, literally, it was right across the border. There's a Sheridan Road. There's when I was driving Uber, I picked up a guy literally on Sheridan Road, like his backyard was the lake, and I don't know, a good 20, 30 seconds was across the border, and there was a bar, and it was open, and they were going, so it was all these spots, and who knows who encounters whom, and how this virus spreads. And now the football season is getting closer. I'm really concerned because, my Bears are poised. I should say our Bears, not mine, but our Bears, gentlemen. See, Lauren, Ivan's one of those people. You can see he got the cup thing over his left, and we're not. But when it comes to football, we're good. So we're
right here. We're all one. We're all come to one when it comes to football season.
And we're expecting the big season. Okay, we heard about Khalil Mack being pissed off and training with a chip on his shoulder. He got a new pass rusher opposite him who's a premier guy. Mitch is allegedly grown up, but if he's not, we got a Super Bowl winning quarterback and to ready to take the reins. We're excited, and this might not happen. Mm-hmm. How devastating will it be here in Chicago for no football season? I could care about Boston and Cam and everything and everybody else. I'm talking about my people, my Chicagoans.
Well, to some extent, it's throwing a wrench in Matt Nagy's quarterback plan. I mean, when they first traded for Nick Foles, right, the idea was, well, it is good to get somebody that has some experience in this offense in case COVID-19 limits their ability to practice in this offense. And for some extent, that's good, but now we're talking about not even having a great opportunity for a quarterback competition at all. And Matt Nagy finally this year saying, we're going to play these guys during the preseason, the 1 year that we have for now an abbreviated preseason, we're going to have any preseason. So there isn't going to be a lot of time for a quarterback competition. And right now, Mitch Trubisky is still QB1 until further notice. He is the Bears starting quarterback. It's an open competition, but if there's no time for that competition to happen, we're staring down Mitch Trubisky as a week 1 starter, and it's sort of the worst time to have a quarterback competition. I guess if you're going to have a competition, it is good to have Foles be the guy that can have the shortest run-up period and the least steep learning curve to take over this offense. But it makes you wonder if they had been able to just sort of have a truly established option, if they would have been able to just more quickly move past from Trubisky and maybe get better quarterback play sooner. If they had gone out and gotten somebody like, Phillip Rivers, Teddy Bridgewater, and spent big money at that position to kind of say, all right, it is your show. You'd have Mitch as a backup in case something went wrong and you needed somebody to step in with the offense. But now, are we gonna get a true honest quarterback competition at this point, or is it just going to be Trubisky gets the job until he loses it?
It's a good question, guys. We're joined by Lauren Cox from the Locked On Bears podcast, talking a little Bears football right here on Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago. Yeah, I think it's Mitch's job to lose. I think it's a good thing for him because now you got first crack at it. And I think ideally they would love for Mitch to win the job, because if Mitch wins the job, then that means he's doing exactly what Matt Nagy wants. And if he's doing what Matt Nagy wants, and this offense is rolling, like this offense is. I know we talk about it. We only need a middle of the road offense and average offense. This offense can be very good. All right, I'm a big fan of David Montgomery. It's unfortunate he was shaking people before. As soon as he got the ball, a yard or two in the backfield. All right, let's have him shake people 2 or 3 yards beyond the line of scrimmage. I think it's a big year for Tariq Cohen. It's a bounce back year for him as well. When he kind of disappeared last year, and I think with Ted Ginn Jr., we got the youngster out of that we just drafted, another young speedster. Yeah. So, and I think we're ready, with this defense, and for it to be altered or even cut short, I think is going to do a really big number. Let me ask you this. How important is this defense, the fact that they've been together now for about 3 years, maybe 4, the majority of them, okay? And then the second year under Chuck Pagano. So they already have a frame of reference for him. And more importantly, he has a frame of reference and understanding of them. How important is that for this defense that they don't, there's really no turnover except the addition of a superstar pass rusher in Robert Quinn? How important is that in this time with limited practice time, practice sessions?
It really helps with guys like Danny Trevathan and Roquan Smith in the middle. Trevathan's the one making the play calls, not Roquan, but to be able to have sort of that consistency and leadership there, I think will be critical. That's why they re-signed Danny Trevathan and let Nick Kwiatkowski go to the Raiders for pretty much similar money, despite Trevathan being, the older guy who hasn't always had the best luck when it comes to injury. So I think that'll be really critical in that front seven. But I do have concerns with the turnover in the secondary, just because we don't know exactly what they're going to get at cornerback between the second-round pick Jalen Johnson or Artie Burns coming over from the Steelers, or even if Kevin Tolliver, the former undrafted free agent, can win that competition. None of those 3 guys have consistent NFL experience behind them of high-quality play. It doesn't mean they can't be good this season. It just means we haven't seen it on an every-game basis from any of them yet for various reasons. And even at safety next to Eddie Jackson, I like Shawn Gibson a lot, and he's been a consistent NFL veteran, but there's going to be some transition there, and perhaps not as much big-time playmaking, but maybe a little bit more like the Adrian Amos style of consistency where, you get what you get and you like it because it's not mistakes, and that's pretty good. But I have some concerns about making sure that the secondary is still where it needs to be, but no concerns whatsoever in that front seven. It is going to be a front seven dominant defense once again, and I think that's going to bode really well for a season like this, where it might have some uglier games if teams have to go with a few more backups, and if there starts being outbreaks here and there, and players and teams just aren't as sharp because they can't practice the same, or however it might be. Being able to just have good physical athletes up at the line of scrimmage that can get after the quarterback, I think that thing tends to lead to success in any situation.
Laura, well, let's flip the script. Okay, we have some people who are on the defense who don't really have to change anything because they have Chuck Pagano. When we go to the offense, we got an offensive line. We got a new offensive line coach. We have a new right guard. The offensive tackles have had probably one of their worst career year ever. And now you have to learn a new system, new schemes, new blocking, a whole bunch of things for the offensive line in a year where you're hoping Mitch breaks free. You hope this running game explodes. And now you have guys and you can't meet due to COVID-19. How bad is this? How much is this going to affect our offensive line?
Well, I think they're in a good spot in terms of like they didn't have much more but to go up from last year. It's not even it's not even that big of a diss. I mean, it was just that a lot of the guys just played below their standard of where we're used to seeing Charles Leno, where we're used to seeing James Daniels and Cody Whitehair. Even Bobby Massey was sort of his usual consistent self in that regard. So there's a lot of room for improvement from last year, and despite all the changes around them, it's not like, oh, they had a great year and a great offensive line coach who was hired away and now are they going to be able to maintain? I mean, we can debate Harry Hiestand until we're blue in the face, but they did not play as well as they needed to last season, and perhaps a new offensive line coach and a new offensive coordinator and a new passing game coordinator, whatever titles Matt Nagy wants to give everybody, maybe that can be a difference maker. That maybe for whatever reason, there was some sort of miscommunication, or they weren't quite in sync, or the coaching wasn't resonating the way it was supposed to. And it would seem that having a new voice and a new face in that room could only should only stand to help, because I don't think, yes, they could be. I mean, they could be worse than last year, but it seems like based on the base level of talent, they couldn't underachieve more than they underachieved last year.
Let's hope they don't underachieve like they did.
Let's hope they don't try to prove you wrong.
I don't need them saying "hold my beer." Okay, that's not what I need right about now. Definitely not. How is this going to affect Matt Nagy? Matt Nagy, the lack of practice time, the lack of preseason games. Okay, because remember, he came out and said, "Listen, we're gonna. I made a mistake. We're gonna practice. These guys are gonna play in the preseason." What if games start getting cut now? And how is that going to affect him? Your thoughts on what he and his course of action is going to be for this year, with the way it's set up now with only 2 preseason games, and the way it may change if another outbreak happens.
Well, I think in an ideal world, we want Matt Nagy to learn from his mistakes from last season in terms of offensive identity, running the ball, and perhaps better quarterback play or a more consistent quarterback answer could help with a lot of that, which again, COVID-19 isn't helping with that situation. But you wonder if he wanted the preseason to be able to work some different run concepts in there. Think back to last season when, what was it, like halfway through, after the Saints game when he didn't run the ball at all, we started seeing them switch to like I formation out of nowhere for the first time all season, and they only had like 2 plays out of I formation because that's all they could prepare for that week. It clearly wasn't part of the playbook for the first half of the season. And so you wonder if the preseason would be the opportunity for him to say, all right, let's hammer down that I formation and make that a real part of our offense and make that downhill running style a little bit more part of our identity. And, being able to not show all of his cards in the preseason, you don't want to give away too much at that point, but to be able to work on those things at training camp practices and sprinkle them in preseason games. And then of course, during the regular season, it's always sort of a trial and error of test out this and try out that, but all the different things that they wanted to prepare in the preseason and in the off season, does he have the time to do that? Or given, if practices are very limited in number and length, does he not have as much time to experiment and grow in those ways? And does he have to stay a little bit more entrenched in what he did last season? And okay, we're going to stick to our concepts and our formations that we know we have mastered. And that's what they did last season. And they became very predictable as a result. And the offense really struggled. And I don't know that he's going to have the time. I mean, we'll see, to grow the offense in the way. And we might just have to rely on, hopefully Nick Foles will be a better quarterback. Hopefully Jimmy Graham will be a better tight end. And hopefully this offensive line will play better. And maybe they don't need to change that much everywhere else on offense. They just need the players to play better. That's certainly one of the factors here. But I think we'd like to see Matt Nagy be a little bit more self-respect, reflective, and have some growth on his end too.
I agree with you guys. We're joined by Lauren Cox for the Lockdown Bears podcast, talking a little Bears football right here on Shawn and Maya in the morning. And I agree with you. He has to stop being predictable. And I think one of the things that when I was coaching at Curie, the head coach, Tyson LeBlanc, brought in a new offense. And the thing that I loved about it is that with the talent that we had at Curie, we could beat you a whole bunch of different ways. If you wanted to, it had to be a high-scoring game. We had the quarterback, we had receivers. If we had to pound it out, a 10-7, 14-10 game, we had a 6'1", 225-pound running back. We had a good offensive line, and I think that's what Matt Nagy needs to do is incorporate all these things, because you know as well as I do, and as he well knows, football games every game takes on a life of its own. And yes, this team coming in may be the third worst passing team in the league, but all of a sudden now you're destroying them on the ground. Okay, maybe one of their guys is hurt, and now you need to exploit that when you don't really have to. Now you just want to shorten the game. Like if we're getting 5 or 6 yards a pop, let's do this. He's got to be willing to adjust, to improvise, to adapt, and that's what he hasn't done so often. And that's what frustrates me, because I've being a coach for so long and playing and coaching with really good coaches for so long, you would think like whatever, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If I can score, and when you run the ball down someone's throat, there's no that you see them lose. You see them, they give up not their will to compete, but not their will to win, but their will to compete. You just see it. You win by attrition, and there's nothing more footballish than winning by attrition and watching the guy across from you just not want to compete anymore because you're beating his ass all day.
And I think that's where we could see the influence of the new coaches that they bring onto the coaching staff, right? Like you bring over Bill Lazor from Cincinnati, and before he was in Cincinnati, he was in Miami, and he hasn't necessarily had stellar quarterbacks. I think he's been realistic about what he had with Ryan Tannehill and then Andy Dalton in Cincinnati, to where he knows he can't just put it all on the quarterback, and where they have needed to run the ball. They haven't always been stellar at running the ball, but they've known it was necessary. And you can make some arguments about the talent that he's had to work with, particularly on the offensive lines on those two teams. But he comes from teams that can't just put it on the quarterback. And John DeFilippo, the quarterback's coach, was coordinator with the Jaguars last year, where they were able to run the ball a lot with Leonard Fournette and trying to help Gardner Minshew and Nick Foles at the beginning, help them along and not have to put so much on the quarterback. And even the offensive line coach Juan Castillo, last season he was actually an offensive analyst for the University of Michigan, just kind of consulting and helping out. And we know how Jim Harbaugh likes to run his offenses there. And before that with the Bills and the Ravens, not always stellar quarterbacks there, especially in Buffalo. They're able to just kind of pound it and run the ball there. So I think he brought in coaches this offseason, Matt Nagy, that will influence him in that way. And I know he's expecting Juan Castillo to sort of help be the run game coordinator of sorts. I know Bill Lazor is going to help with the passing game and stuff with the passing game coordinator, Dave Ragone, but it's still Matt Nagy's play calling, and he has to, listen to them and build those relationships more strongly than we had in the previous coaching staff. But I think the pieces are there, and it's going to take some, again, self-reflection, some understanding, and some humility from Nagy that it sounds like it's always there. He says, we listen and we have these conversations and try and have no egos, is the way, no egos in the coaching room. But we'll see if that actually takes its shape in the season, or if it's, when the heat is on and you have to call the play and you're, it's the fourth quarter and you're down and you're the head coach, you're going to go with your gut, and what Matt Nagy's gut isn't always necessarily what Juan Castillo and some of these other guys might always feel.
I'm going to ask you offense, defense. Who is your guy that you think is going to have a stellar year? He could have a resurgence. It could be a rookie or a young player who's finally getting some tick. Who's your guy that's going to have a breakout year on the offense?
Boy, on the offense, it feels like it's another consecutive year of feeling like Anthony Miller, like it's going to be the year. This is going to be the year. And I don't want to. I feel like we're starting to get into this trap, like of receivers of the past. I think like Marquess Wilson, the 7th round pick from a number of years ago, where it's like
Washington State.
Every year he flashes something, and it's like, especially in the preseason, and you're like, oh man, there it is. And we've definitely seen more than that from Anthony Miller. We've seen enough flashes where we can be like, yeah, it's definitely there. There's no doubt that Anthony Miller is an extremely talented wide receiver, maybe the best route runner on the team, even ahead of Allen Robinson. And I know like Matt Harmon from Yahoo does his reception perception, and Anthony Miller's success rate against man coverage last season was like top 25 in the NFL. And, and he was barely, a 500-yard receiver last year. So probably quarterback play will be better. Anthony Miller should be better. I know there were some questions about him knowing the playbook fully and being able to execute plays as they're called. But now hopefully, year 2 in this offense, or year 3, in this offense, presumably some of those issues should be a little bit more under control, and he should be the number 2 wide receiver that this offense has been missing, and that hopefully these quarterbacks can help get into. But when I look defensively, just to take it there, I know you're looking at both sides. I like to think Bilal Nichols is ready for taking that jump forward on the defensive line. He had such a strong rookie season, really just out of nowhere, and had that guidance from Akeem Hicks and quickly passed Roy Robertson Harris and some of the other, Jonathan Bullard at the time, and was like, all of a sudden this 5th-round kid out of Delaware is surprising everybody. And the sophomore slump hit him. And that's to be expected, and that happens a lot for a lot of players, especially 5th-round picks. The league starts to figure you out a little bit. You have your 2 or 3 go-to moves as a defensive lineman, and your rookie season, no one's ever seen you before. So you can pull a few little tricks on some veterans that maybe aren't ready for it. But now, year 2, they've all watched Bilal Nichols tape, and they know your moves, son. So come up with something better. And we've heard Akeem Hicks really mentor him. He referred to him as my rookie. That's my rookie right there. Now it's year 3 for Nichols, and I would think, with Hicks healthy, with Khalil Mack healthy, with Robert Quinn now on the outside, those 3 guys are going to get 100% of the offensive line's attention. Bilal Nichols should never be double teamed on any play, at least pass rushing. So if he's had a 3rd year now to add a little bit more to his repertoire, to keep getting that guidance from Akeem Hicks, the Bears have had very good defensive line coaches throughout his career there. They've got a couple other veterans in the mix, enough players there to push Nichols with some competition too, to make sure that he's not getting complacent or anything. I would look for him to, he's not going to have a breakout 10-sack season or anything, but I think he's going to be that really solid contributor in the rotation there on the defensive line, back more like what we were seeing from him as a rookie.
Okay, because go ahead. I'm sorry, Ivan. Go ahead.
We're saying with the defensive line, because I love Bilal Nichols. Bilal's he's my guy. But you're absolutely correct. The jury's out on him. Like, his moves, what he could do. But also, and I said this before, the loss of Akeem Hicks was bigger than everybody thought last year. It changed the entire complexity of the defense. They had to immediately adjust, because now you got triple teams on Khalil Mack. You got Leonard Floyd that couldn't rush us. He couldn't rush anything. He couldn't rush an appointment, or you know what I'm saying? Like he's a good, I guess, coverage linebacker, but he's not the guy that we need to go ahead and correct havoc. But as far as Akeem, with Akeem being there now, I feel like Akeem, look for Akeem Hicks to be like a bounce back, comeback player of the year, something where he puts himself back on the map, because the motivation, and you've seen it when he came back last year, just his presence alone changed things for a little while until it kind of re-aggravated his elbow a little bit, and you could tell he wasn't 100%. But do you feel like Akeem Hicks, with a healthy Akeem Hicks in the middle, that you could see a Bilal Nichols, maybe elevate to a fringe Pro Bowler? Like, all of a sudden he has a breakout year because like the offensive line's tired because they're blocking Akeem, nonstop, and then all of a sudden you rotate in with Bilal with a couple other guys, and Bilal could have his motor. Well, like my favorite part about him is when he gets going, even if he's in a couple downs, he's going. He's going at 110, and that's what I like about him. Do you think that something like that could happen with Akeem being there?
I think all the pieces are in place for that Bilal Nichols step forward. And I had actually forgotten, I was looking it up, that he missed 3 games last season with a hand injury. He was on the injury report from the start of the season, week 1, with a knee injury, and then the hand injury kind of kept him out for a little while, and then another knee injury. So I question whether he was fully healthy for, he's one of those guys that played through it, but was banged up, I would bet, for a large portion of the season. And that's why we saw so much Roy Robertson Harris and Nick Williams. So I think the big thing about having Akeem Hicks healthy, and then of course Bilal Nichols being healthy too, is that they can get more of a true rotation there, and so that they can all be a little bit more fresh, so that Roy Robertson Harris doesn't have to play nearly as many snaps, and they can kind of keep Bilal Nichols a little bit light too. And I know they signed John Jenkins to be on the interior there. They've got Brent Urban and some other guys that they don't need Bilal Nichols to play 800 snaps the way Akeem Hicks does. So if he can be, that mercenary a little bit, I mean, like Roy Robertson Harris, just kind of keep rotating him in, keep him fresh. I think you both of those guys doing some real damage this season, assuming everybody's able to stay healthy, which is a even bigger if than normally. But all the pieces are there, absolutely, that there's just not enough offensive line to go around for what the Bears have in that front seven.
No, because we talked about this. Mac gets a double team, just period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. If not, then your quarterback is probably broke. And Robert Quinn going to need a double team. Okay, if you're not, your quarterback's probably going to be broke. That's 4 linemen. Then you need Akeem Hicks. You don't double team him, he needs a double team, because if you don't, and you have him one-on-one all game, your quarterback's going to be broke. So now that's 6 offensive linemen. We haven't even talked about Eddie Goldman. All right, we haven't even mentioned it yet. You know what I mean? So the amount of pressure they're bringing with the front, literally front 4, okay, is unbelievably scary. And I just can't wait, dude. Now, you just got me freaking fired up, man. I'm telling you, I'm getting goosebumps, and I love it because I just want to see. I was a defensive after playing running back my entire career. I got a defensive coordinator the last part of my coaching career, and when the ability to release the hounds, my goodness. And then, it's a 3rd down and 7, and you say, go. I'm bringing this guy off the corner, this guy off the middle. We're twisting, we're stunting, we're crossing, and that quarterback, he's just under a blitzkrieg. Dude, I love it. I love it. I would get so fired up, and you're starting to get me fired up, Lawrence, because there's nothing that this Bears defensive line or the front 4, even just those front 4 or 5. I don't think there's an offensive line that can handle it. Last question before we let you go. Allen Robinson, to get a contract extension?
Boy, you would think by now that they've had 6 months, 7 months, 8 months since the season was over. I don't know what the holdup has been. You know what I mean? Like, why, if they're going to do it still, why have they waited so long? If they do it in August or whatever, what's been the wait? Nothing has changed about Allen Robinson from the end of last season to the start of this season. So I don't know. I mean, I understand, like, during free agency and stuff, I get, you got to watch your salary cap and all that, but you would think there's no reason at this point to not pay him and to hold them back in a year. He doesn't need to prove anything in 2020. He was clearly a dominant number 1 receiver last season, and the Bears' only consistent offensive target in the passing game. So I don't know. I mean, I would think I would pay him, and I don't know why they haven't. So if they haven't yet, why would they now? So, but I don't think they should wait. So I don't understand the logic on this one. So it's hard for me to sit here and say for sure one way or another what's going to happen with Allen Robinson, because they should pay him, and I would hate to see them not. But if they're particularly far apart on numbers or something, and maybe they say, okay, A-Rob, go get another 1,000 yards, and then we'll pay you what you're asking for. But that's not a risk I'm necessarily willing to take, because if you let that guy go hit the open market, it's going to be a tough bargain. It was a tough bargain the first time. The Packers almost signed him away from the Bears. So no reason not to lock him up now and keep him in Chicago.
God, that's a scary thought.
The biggest issue is COVID. So, when these owners are losing all this money, the revenue that they're losing, I think that's one of the issues and why they haven't signed him.
One thing to keep in mind, I don't know where the Bears stand on this, but some teams have not officially signed the free agents that they signed this offseason. Same with their undrafted free agents too. They haven't. Some teams as players that they agreed to terms with in March have not been able to come in and do physicals yet, and have technically not officially signed their new contract. So that could be something with Robinson too, where they wanted to pass a physical and come in and sign the contract extension, but because of COVID or travel or whatever, they haven't been able to physically get him in, as perhaps it's true with other players.
Oh, it looks like Shawn froze on us.
I was gonna say, that face extra well. Okay.
Yeah, but we're gonna go ahead and let you go. Go ahead and let everybody know where to find you and your work online.
Yeah, of course. You can hear me 5 days a week on the Locked On podcast network. I actually got my Locked On shirt on here right now. But we just got those from the network, so I had to come rep the set. But a Locked On Bears podcast on Twitter at Cox Sports 1. And, I'm always around here on SportsZone Chicago whenever Shawn gives me a call.
Yeah, for sure. We always love to have you and love talking Bears. Hopefully hopefully we actually have a season this year,
Yeah, that would be a nice relief for all of us, but I'm trying not to get my hopes up too high and have them come crashing down. I'm trying to prepare myself for the worst and be pleasantly surprised.
Well, hopefully we all are pleasantly surprised. All right, Lauren, have a good one, man.
Hey, thanks. You too. Hope you get Shawn back real quick. You're not flailing on yourself here.
Right. Flailing and stuff. All right. Thanks, Lauren.
Have a good one.
Guys, that was Lauren Cox from the Locked On Bears podcast and Cox Sports One. Oh, there he goes. You're back from outer space.
I am. Listen, we got to take a quick break. You should have just gone on a break anyway. That's cool.
Oh, that's cool. I was waiting for you.
Guys, that was Lauren Cox from the Locked On Bears podcast. Great stuff. Yeah, and I think that might be the biggest reason they haven't signed Allen Robinson yet is with this COVID thing, because you look at how much money they're losing in ticket sales. So they're offering full refunds to season ticket holders without it affecting their status as a season ticket holder. That's a lot of money, and I know
it makes sense though. It makes sense, perfect sense, because the player's losing a year, just another year, of I guess career time, because you can't sit out a year. It's hard sitting out a year, and I'm sure that the athletes are keeping themselves in shape, but it's hard sitting out a year and not playing football, man. You know what I mean? It's a huge difference. You got to get immediately back into it once when you find out. It is a go, but it's
the one thing I'll tell you that there, Ivan, is it'll help the older players.
Yeah,
talking 28 to 30 and up, because now you literally get one whole year off of letting your body heal. And people, you don't realize how important it is, man. When I finished playing, and that first year off, midway through football season. It was, first of all, it was difficult for me. It was a really tough transition to stop playing football. I played for 30 years. So I started when I was 10 in grammar school and literally retired when I was 40. And so you talk about on my 40th birthday, my 40th year, I had been playing football 3/4 of my life. And so that first season, I couldn't go to the games of my old team. I couldn't go. I refused to go. I knew it was going to be difficult for me. I was lucky I was still coaching, so that helped bridge the gap and made the transition easier. Not easy, just easier. But you get that. But middle of football season, you're like, wow, I feel great, and I was still stretching and still lifting, and it just felt better. And for those guys who maybe have a little bit left in the tank and have one last year under their belt, that could be the world to them, for a payday. So, the young kids, you want to keep playing. When you're 25, 26, no, man, I don't want to, you want to keep playing because you have that energy. But it could help, maybe as a quarterback. Like, case in point, Alex Smith. Imagine Alex Smith. They don't play him this year, or they don't play this year. And I know he's been out for a year or two, but now he's fully recovered from his injury. Fully recovered.
Fully recovered, 100%. They said he was going to lose it. They said he was going to lose it a couple years ago.
So
that's crazy.
So now that's not an issue. So now teams are, we have to check. No, the dude's been out for a year and he hasn't played football. The season was suspended or whatever. If it goes that route, so it'll help older guys like him. Make a little one more contract. Another $2 or $4 million contract or whatever it is they make. So it can help them. So I hope it doesn't go that route. Because if they take football away from us, my goodness gracious, great balls of fire, that would really, as I mentioned earlier, that'll be a sledgehammer to my chest. That would be
I can't. I don't want to talk about it. It's like just let's not speak it into existence. Let's not speak it into existence and just hope we get there quick.
I get it. Well, listen, guys, we got to take a quick break. It's our last break of the show, so don't go anywhere, folks. We're going to talk a little baseball coming up next. We got bat flips. Bat flips. Tim Anderson doing it again, going yard twice on the south side. So don't go anywhere, folks. Cubs and Sox talk coming up next right here on Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago.
Quicken Loans presents the Sports Flash, driven by Jeep on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone. At Kentucky Speedway on Sunday, rookie Cole Custer took the checkered flag, becoming the first rookie regular to win a Cup Series race in nearly 4 years.
Overall, I mean, it's a combination of everything that you've learned throughout your career of trying to time the restarts right, trying to get momentum on people and get to their outside, and just once you're up front, you got to take advantage of it. And I think we did that today. It's just unbelievable. I mean, I just came into this race, hoping to get a solid finish and get us pointed in the right direction, going towards the playoffs, and to come out of it winning is just unimaginable.
A name change is imminent for Washington's NFL team. Team owner Dan Snyder is set to retire the team's current nickname. A new name could be unveiled as early as today. This coming amidst public and corporate pressure. The team's top sponsor, FedEx, among those who pressured the team to change the name. Blue Emu promises no chill, no burn, no odor, just what you need to soothe tired muscles and joints. The Sports Flash is driven by Jeep. Chuck Sanders, 1330 95.9 The Zone.
Hi, this is Jay Farner, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. We can help guide you to those right decisions now when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so when you call 8338-ROCKET or visit us at rocketmortgage.com to start your refinance, you'll be well on your way to saving money every month. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.375%, APR 3.59%. Right now could be a great time for you to take some positive financial steps forward with a cash-out refinance from Rocket Mortgage, which could give you the boost that you're looking for. In addition, we may be able to help you refinance with little or no out-of-pocket costs. At Rocket Mortgage, we're committed to every client, every time, no exceptions, no excuses, giving you the best mortgage experience. Call us today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Rates subject to change. Pay 1.875% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago. There is baseball, baby, in the city. I don't know, they had the South Side, but it's just summer camp. But they're having a lot of inter-squad scrimmages. And yesterday, Tim Anderson went yard twice. And one of them, he had a phenomenal bat flip. He's in bat flipping form. Some people got mad. Up and down Twitter, Sox Twitter, typically some old.
What? They got mad? Stop it.
I am dead serious. I am dead serious.
They got mad in the inter-squad game. Stop
in a squad game, they got mad that there's a bat flip. I'm like, listen. Here's my thought. First of all, it's your teammates, okay? There's a lot of trash talking when it comes to teammates, okay? A lot. But to borrow the sentiment from our good friend the Bigs, who are they're also on SportsZone Chicago. Mm-hmm. One of the Bigs, Terrence Tomlin. You always hear Eugene McIntosh, but his partner Terrence Tomlin, he covers the White Sox. He's a Sox fan. Terrence is one of your people. He said, "Haven't we learned? Like when you didn't we just watch The Last Dance, and you saw what internal pressure on your teammates does for them, for the team. Now, he's not taking it to Michael Jordan's extent, but the fact of the matter is you don't want me to bat flip on a home run? Don't throw me a home run pitch. Okay? And plus you have to be able to deal with it, because if you're going to give up home runs. As a pitcher, you're going to give up home runs. It's a crazy idea, but yes, you will. You need to be able to come back from it. You can't get mad if someone flips a bat, or if somebody trots a little slower around in their home run trot. You can't get mad as a pitcher. So this internal pressure, I like what Tim Anderson's doing. First of all, he's being him. Okay. Secondly, you can't be so damn sensitive. Okay. And if you want, come with a little chin music the next time. Just say, hey, just so you know, that's fine. I'm not a big fan of hitting the guy, but I give him, throw some chin music, back him off. Brush him off. Like, all right, you son of a biscuit, you got me last time. Zoom. I mean,
guys gotta know.
I know.
Yeah, guys gotta know. Like unwritten rules, not unwritten rules. Things will be handled on the field. Things will be handled right there and then, or the next time around. Things will be handled depending on the situation of the game and positioning and everything. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like things will be handled. But this is inter squad practice. We're talking about practice. We're talking about practice. Who cares? He's having fun. He's trying to warm up. He just hit 2 bombs after being out, for months on end, and they're getting ready to start up in a couple weeks.
Yep.
Like who gives a crap? Like you weren't complaining when he did it against the Royals. You weren't complaining then, I'm sure. You were probably right there. Yeah, Tim, he deserves it. Who cares? Get over it. I'm sure you were. But this is a non-issue.
Yeah, apparently people on Twitter don't have much to talk about. That's one of their issues.
Our the league leader, the league hitting leader, hit 2 bombs, and you're upset about his bat flipping. Like, come on, man. Like get over it. Get over it.
There's a very old school segment of fans. Okay. Very old school segment of fans who just don't want the hot dogging, who don't want the showman, the flashiness. And I get it. That's the baseball you grew up on.
That's why baseball is boring.
But baseball is not that way anymore. Okay, you have guys who are excitable. You have guys, and yes, they might be annoying them. You might hate the young generation. You might be a get off my lawn type of guy. But everything changes, and right now you have their people are encouraged to express themselves, and you know what? There's nothing. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Okay, do you realize the most difficult thing to do in professional sports is to hit a baseball?
A fastball.
No, just to hit a baseball because you don't know what's coming. You don't know what's coming. You don't know if it's a fastball. You don't know if it's a curve. You don't know if it's a slider. To hit a baseball in an actual game is the most difficult thing to do in sports because you don't control anything but your swing. Like in football, you can throw the ball, you can catch it. There's a lot because you have a timing on where this receiver is going to be. Okay. You run an out route, you run a post, you run a corner. You have the timing of how far to throw it on each particular route. In other sports, there's things that you can control. In baseball, you can't control that pitch, so now you have to react in literally a split second. You have less than a second to decide. First and foremost, you have to decide: is it a fastball or is it a breaking ball? Okay, because if you decide it's a fastball and it's a breaking ball and you're out on your front foot, well, you're not hitting that ball very far. You might be able to muscle it out and get a hit because of your strength, but you're not going to get good wood on it. So that's the first thing you have to decide what it is when it comes out of the hand of the pitcher. Then you have to decide what kind of breaking ball is it. Is it a curve? What's in this guy's repertoire? Is it a curve? Does he have a wicked curve? Does he have a 12-6 curve? Does he have a slider? Does he have a changeup? So now all these things I have to figure out, and then you have to figure out where it's going. So you can swing your bat at that particular spot to get it out of the ballpark. So all these things have to happen in literally less than 1 second.
We're not even talking about out of the ballpark. We're just talking about getting it in the grass.
And that's what I'm saying. The most difficult thing in the world to do in professional sports is to hit a baseball. And so when you're able to touch somebody up and get them, and take them yard,
yeah. Man,
yeah, it's fun, So here's one of the things I said was this. So you know what? If that's the case, then don't throw the ball around the infield. Went on a strikeout. You can't do that.
Nope, don't do that. Isn't that showing up?
Pitchers can't go in their glove as they're walking off the mound.
No pumping your fist when you strike somebody out off the mound. No, none of that.
No arrows. What was that? That reliever's name? I can't remember. He was with the Giants for a while. Francisco Rodney.
Was it Fernando Rodney?
Fernando. I knew it was the F. Fernando Rodney. Yeah, no more arrows because that's celebrating. That's talking smack.
You know what? It blows my mind how much scrutiny a batter celebrating. A hit, a home run, or what have you. As opposed to a pitcher or a position player. Who you know what I'm saying? Like anybody. A catcher when he comes up and he yells, you know what I'm saying, behind the plate when he guns somebody out. Somebody out. Man. Yeah, when he guns somebody out. All that shit should be wiped. This is why baseball is boring, because you are allowing it to be controlled by aged minds, I guess. You're allowing the fun to be controlled. Let me make it clear. You're allowing the fun to be controlled by age line, like people who are from a different time, man. They're from a different time. You can't control people's emotions, and you can't, these baseball purists. It's just like you're trying to lock everything down. You're trying to keep everything in the past. You're trying to keep everything in the past. The game doesn't evolve. Like the game can evolve they have very small evolutions in it, and it can still be the same game. But you it's like you're like trying to pull tooth and nail to get any type of change, any type of positive change.
Yeah, it's got to be more exciting. The way that the game is being played by a lot of the younger generation is exciting. All right, and you have to embrace it. And it's not the game we grew up on. Society is not the way it is back then. That when we grew up, it's different, and everything must evolve, and people have to realize it. And it's just one way where people just want to kind of control the narrative. Like, okay, this is the way I grew up and I learned the game, so you should do this too. It's not. Everybody didn't learn the game the same way. Okay, we all learned it different. Some people, no celebrating, no nothing. It's just head down, business as usual. Other people celebrate your accomplishments. Okay, pitcher, hitter, catcher, throwing somebody out. You celebrate your accomplishments. Okay, other people, it just wasn't it. But don't express and expect me to follow your thought process on how I should enjoy the game because of the way you were brought up and were taught to enjoy the game. We're different people. And, people want to argue and complain about a whole bunch of stuff. I can think of a lot of other things to argue than, Tim Anderson's bathtub because I think it's dope as hell. But
this, to a certain demographic, to that older crowd, it's worse than, I don't know. It could be worse than cheating. Part of me feels like if you go ahead and you show up the pitcher or anybody, it's almost worse than cheating. It's almost worse than steroids. To some people at the moment, in the moment, you know what I mean? In the moment.
Right.
But it's time. It's time to let people just be who they are. If the pitcher doesn't like it, okay, throw at him, do what you want, whatever. Regardless of what you are trying to do, things are changing. Things are changing. And it'll change even faster if Major League Baseball, if they see an incident like this and they start suspending and fining pitchers for going after a batter. These unwritten rules need to be changed. They can be changed like that. Money, if you start taking money out of pitcher players' pockets, you start suspending them, things will change quickly.
Yeah. I mean, look what happened to Daniel Snyder. Daniel Snyder said he was never changing the name, and all of a sudden they got in his pocket. And he said
2 years ago it was a hell no, and now it's we're going to be moving forward with you know what I'm saying, everything.
Again, I don't mind. Oh, you throw some chin music and you brush them back off the plate. I get it. That's cool. When you start hitting people, then now you open up Pandora's box, because if you hit a guy in the jaw, all right, it's a rising fastball. You want to give him. You hit him in the jaw. Now he's out. Now he can't play. Now does that, you know what I mean? Now you're affecting his stats. You're affecting his money, because now
you're affecting his health.
His health.
His career. Like, you're risking his career because you are butthurt about you throwing a bad pitch and somebody going ahead and sending it to the moon, or you or another pitcher, or somebody, a reliever, or the next starter. You're pissed off because he rocked your boy who threw a bad pitch and cost you a home run, cost you a leak, whatever have you. Get over it. That's some soft shit. That's some soft shit. You're gonna go try to ruin his career over that. That's some soft shit.
Yeah, and people, a lot of older guys like, well, he should get hit. Like, no, you don't get it. Like, you just don't get it.
You want to hit me? Want to hit me? Walk off the mound and come right to me when I'm walking up to the plate, to the batter's box. Why throw a ball at me so I have to come out and get you? Why don't you just call me out right there? Well, drop the bat, drop the glove, and you can walk right up to the batter's box, and it could be like that. Like, why try to throw a projectile 100 and something miles an hour, 90 miles an hour, what have you? However fast they're throwing it. Why try to throw it at a certain place where it'll be detrimental to my career, my health, my life potentially? Come on, man.
I agree. I agree completely. So, give me your thoughts on the Cubs. The Cubs are up there. They're going to cross scrimmages as well. And you are a Cub fan, so I know you're following them a lot more closely than I do. Although I do follow them.
Honestly, I haven't been looking at the. I've been hearing what they've been practicing. Balls are flying on the wave. That's fine. Just show me. Just like I know what team you have. We talked about it like for months on end. Like I've been looking at. I've been relooking at the team, reading. It's just let's get to it. Let's get to it because the 60-game sprint is going to go, and then you got to go right back into a probably a potentially tumultuous off season because you're going to be trying to work out the CBA. You're going to try to get it going. You know what I'm saying? Like it's.
Well, that's next year in 21.
Yeah, but you're going to be starting it now. You're going to be looking to it because of what happened, because of the back and forth with salaries and such stuff like that. You're gonna have people. You're gonna have them trying to wanna like either spark conversations early, because I feel like that's the best thing. You start conversations early in order to work your way down. So when it comes time to you got to make a decision, you might have worked out all the kinks because there's gonna be a problem. There's gonna be a problem.
Okay, no, I follow you. But the Cubs got some big decisions to make. At the end of 21, you have, was it Ryan, Rizzo, Bryant, and Schwarber?
I believe so.
Are all free agents. You can't sign all of them. So Ivan, you let me know, is this the last dance for this championship core for the Bulls or for the Bulls? The Cubs?
I just no, and if it is, like I told you that before, if it is, Theo should be embarrassed. Like in my opinion, and I'm happy it was a World Series. Like there was a World Series victory finally. We got to see it. We're not gonna. People could, I guess, rest assured that they seen it. And go about their life. But like, I just think that Theo needs another one. I think he needs one more. And as far as it being the last hurrah, no, I don't think it'll be. I think it'll be a huge wake up call. I think it'll be if they don't make the playoffs. I think you're going to be seeing a lot of movement anyway. But I think it's going to be a huge wake up call for the team. Like you can't just win one and then just go back into obscurity. You can't just fade back into being the lovable losers. Like the promises were a winning culture. Yeah, you've done it for 4 years. That's only 4 years. You know what I'm saying? Show me more. Because 108 years is 108 years, bro. Like 108 years is a long time, and we've seen too much consistent losing instead of consistent winning. So it's like your 4 years is cute and all, but we need this sustained success, and I'm talking about decades of sustained success. If you were you came in here to be the guru. The guy that sets everything up. You got to have sustained success.
Listen, guys, we got guys at the end of the show, man. We went 2 hours, almost 2 hours is coming and going. I want to thank my guest Frank Arriaga for calling in. He's from the WBM network. He's down in Texas. Also want to thank our guy Lauren Cox from the Locked On Bears podcast for calling in, talking sports with us today. Gentlemen, you made it a phenomenal show. Real quick, my guy over at Phenomenal Auto Spot, 2216 South Kedzie in Chicago. It's in the Little Village neighborhood. If you're a rideshare driver, my guy is hooking you up. Head over that way. Let him know you're a rideshare driver. He'll see it with the stickers, of course. Let him know you're a rideshare driver. Tell him you heard it on SportsZone Chicago. And what happens, you'll get, if you use the code word SportsZone Chicago, you get a car wash, $10 for cars and SUVs, $15 for extra large SUVs or minivans. It's outside, inside, and an interior disinfects the inside. So if you're a rideshare driver, you understand how important that is to have the inside of your car disinfected for people if you're driving people because of this coronavirus. So make sure you go there and you tell him your boy, the Superback, sent you. Leon's my guy over there. Ask him. It's his spot. And make sure you use the code SportsZone Chicago for $10 wash outside, inside, and a disinfecting of the inside, and $15 for an extra large SUV or a minivan. All right. But we got to go. So for my co-host in absentia, Maya Kai, guys, don't forget at 12 o'clock today, we have La Vida Baseball right back here on SportsZone Chicago. So for my co-host in absentia, Maya Kai, and my man, my Puerto Rican Swiss Army knife, the Wiz himself, Ivan Vargas.
We'll see you guys Wednesday.
I'm your boy, the Superback, Shawn Sierra. We'll see you in 46 hours. Deuces.